Crystal has something. Your screen is.
Oh, yeah.
Crystal, you may need to unplug your camera, plug it back in. All right, Tony, we are live as well.
Okay. We got everybody here, I believe. So we'll call this meeting of the Jamestown City Council work session for Monday, May 3rd to order tonight. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Sheldon,
Here.
Brackman,
Here.
Karuba,
Here.
Olson,
Oh.
Nelson,
Here.
Eklund,
You know she's here. Kim?
We see it.
I couldn't hear you, Jen. Yes,
Oh,
I'm
okay.
here.
Okay. Graham Reinhardt,
Here.
Russell,
Looks like you frozen, Jeff?
I don't, can you hear me?
yep, and President Doles.
I'm here.
Very good. Okay, do we have any correspondence tonight from the public?
I have one email. Dear Jamestown City Council members, we, the residents of Myers and East Cowden Streets, wish to express our concern about a dangerous situation occurring in our neighborhood. Our streets form a horseshoe-shaped road, which includes many young families with children. With the warmer weather upon us, we have been experiencing an increasing problem with certain motorcyclists speeding on the horseshoe road and deliberately, intentionally revving their engines in retaliation in front of targeted residences, which can be heard for blocks away. They are also doing wheelies on Barrett Avenue, and residents have also witnessed children without helmets being given rides. This is a resident of 9 Myers Street, Roberto Pedro Milan, already known by JPD. This problem has existed for at least the past 3 years and is becoming worse every year. Jamestown police have been called multiple times, but have not been able to rectify the situation with Mr. Milan. We ask that the city perhaps consider placement of temporary speed bumps on our road to prevent the dangerous conditions created by these motorcycles. If this is not possible, we ask for increased police enforcement against the motorcyclists. Thank you for your assistance in keeping our residents safe from this dangerous situation. Sincerely, Elizabeth Keller, Jared Moore, and Lacey Barlow. And that was it.
That's it? Okay. Just a brief comment. I know this is the time of the year that we get a lot of these complaints. I don't know, Chief, if you want to address anything about what can be done, not only there, but across the city. I know there are a lot of complaints about motorcycles, motorcyclists, or kids without helmets. I don't know if there's any targeted enforcement or anything about that as we get to this time of the year.
Yes, thank you. We can put extra patrols in areas that are seem to be the biggest problem. We will be doing that over the next several weeks. It's important for the city residents to remember to call when this is happening. Due to our call volume, sometimes it's very difficult to get there, but we're doing the best we can, and I can say we will be putting out extra patrols for that.
Thank you. I know there's been some complaints on the Main Street and Prendergast area as well for
Yes.
racing motorcycles and people without helmets and that sort of thing. So,
Tony, Mr. President, do you mind if I add just to that I did have a complaint just the other day from a resident on Maple Street regarding motorcycles going very fast, and just wanted to give the chief a heads up on that. And that's it's a very narrow street to be flying down on a motorcycle. So I just wanted to pass that along. Thanks.
I know it's out.
And I'm sorry, President, both.
Yep.
There also was a complaint on North Main, the North Main and 10th Street area. I know Maria may have known about that too and have communicated, but just ATVs driving really fast and loud right next to where that senior citizen house is.
Right.
So just another area to watch.
Very good. Okay. That's all we have for public comments. So we'll move on to our standing committees and the Finance Committee and Councilwoman Eklund.
Sure. The first resolution is authorizing Jennifer Williams to attend the NICOM annual meeting on June 9th through 11th at Sagamore Hotel in Bolton Landing, New York, with expenses paid pursuant to Section 77B of the General Municipal Law. Any questions or comments? So, okay, the second resolution is authorizing the payment of $379,884.10 in accordance with the bond and note requirement as follows. Public improvement bonds refunding of 2010 A bonds, issue of March 19th, 2019, $333,911 and no cents principal, and $45,973.10 for 6 months interest at 5% per annum on 1,838,000 no cents. Any questions or comments? The details on that was in your backup as to what bonds it was. It was for multiple things, both number 2 and number 3, including DPW, city infrastructure, and some other stuff, multiple miscellaneous things. Resolution number 3 is authorizing the payment of a $304,500 and no cents in accordance with a bond and note requirement as follows. Public improvement bonds, refunding of 2011 Series A bonds, issue of October 15th, 2020, $260,000 and no cents principal, and $44,500 interest at 5% per annum on $1,780,000 and no cents. Any questions or comments? Okay, resolution number 4 is authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Highmark Life Insurance Company of New York, placed through Premier Consulting Associates LLC, 1416 Sweet Home Road, Amherst, New York, 14228, for a specific excess stop loss insurance policy for the period of June 1, 2021 through May 31st, 2022. In the amount of $175,000 and no cents for a specific deductible annual unlimited maximum reimbursement at a cost of $7 per covered participant per month, subject to the approval of the Corporation Council as to form. I just want to note that this is an annual renewal. Again, as it stated in here, Premier Consulting did have the last years. Ryan, if you want to explain a little bit more, I did ask for backup. There were only 2 companies who bid, and Highmark is the lowest bid, all things considered.
Sure. Thank you, Councilwoman Eklund. Yeah, we only received 2 bids. One bid was the current carrier, HM Life, and the second bid came in from Blue Cross Blue Shield. The second bid was a lot higher than the bid with our current carrier. We came in at $67.07 from Highmark Life, whereas the Blue Cross Blue Shield was at $74.83, and that's a per member per month fee. So, excuse me, overall, we're looking at $421,736 as compared to $470,506 if we were to go with the Blue Cross Blue Shield. So it's a pretty straightforward decision. Blue Cross Blue Shield also had 2 specific members that they essentially put lasers on. And what that means is they changed the deductible for those specific members and increased it up to $200,000 for one of them and $225,000 for another. We were pleased to see that the renewal rate came in at the same rate as what we were paying last year. It didn't increase at all. I'm pleased to see that. And that's pretty much it. There were 4 other carriers that declined to comment, or I'm sorry, declined to quote.
Okay. Anybody else have any other questions about it? Okay. Resolution number 5 is authorizing the mayor to execute a grant agreement with the New York State Environmental Facilities She sent a revised, let me correct this. She sent a revised, just so people understand where this is coming from. So let me backtrack a little. Whereas the Board of Public Utilities Water Division has been awarded a $3 million New York State Clean Water Infrastructure Improvement Act grant for a multi-year $5 million water main replacement project. And whereas the BPU Water Division is required to match $2 million of the anticipated project costs in order to receive the grant funds. And whereas the BPU on July 30th, 2020 transferred its rights and obligations under the WIIA grant to the city of Jamestown, resolved that the mayor is authorized to execute a grant agreement with the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation and any and all other contracts, documents, and instruments necessary to bring about the project and to fulfill the city of Jamestown's obligations under the WIIA grant agreement, subject to the review and approval by Corporation Council as to form. Mayor, I don't know if you want to add comments at this time.
I'll just add that this is an agreement we got awarded, I think last year, for a grant for the for certain water main replacements. And so it just continues on with that. We included it originally as part of some bonding. So that allows us to actually share the expense with the BPU. BPU's already voted on it, and we just have to ratify the ability to sign that agreement.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. Resolution number 6 is authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with H Square, Suite 1900, Buffalo, New York, 14203, to modify an existing parking contract for the Cherry Street Garage, subject to the approval as to form by the Corporation Council. Any questions or comments? And then the last resolution we have out of finance is suspending the hiring freeze and authorizing the filling of the following position due to the essential nature of the position. 1 full-time appraiser in the assessor's office, and part-time appraisers, both residential and commercial. And this position is currently vacant due to a retirement.
Councilmember Eklund.
Yes.
Just to add on to that, so that the council is aware and the public's aware, as of right now, the city maintains 2 part-time appraisers, 1 commercial and 1 residential. Those appraisers are also separately contracted by other municipalities to do additional work. At this time, we are aware that at the end of the year, both appraisers will be retiring. So in an effort to replace those, we are trying to move those 2 part-time roles to 1 full-time appraiser that will be certified in both residential and commercial. And so we're just making that adjustment there. There's not going to be additional hirings, just combining 2 of the part-time positions into 1 full-time, which is the amount that we have in the salary amounts is budgeted for. It also allows us to have both the residential and commercial appraisers now train the new individual with the last remaining months that they have here at the city.
Anybody else have anything to add? The only other
Question,
thing I have. Go ahead, sorry.
Part-time currently, do they get benefits? And if not, will the full-time one be getting benefits?
Ryan, do you know if they have benefits currently?
The part-time folks, they would actually pay double what what a full-time employee would pay, but yes, they do receive benefits, and in a full-time position, a new full-time position would also receive benefits.
Okay, and they will be contracting out with other municipalities for appraisal services?
We're unsure. We're unsure if those municipalities will continue contracting out with our appraiser. We do not have a shared services agreement for those appraisal services. So in order to ensure that we have an appraiser for both residential and commercial, we're combining it into 1 position to ensure the city has the appropriate appraisal power versus kind of what we have now.
Excuse me. So a shared services agreement might be something we may be seeing in the future.
It is very possible that those municipalities may want to change their agreement with those appraisers. They have a personal agreement with those appraisers currently, and they may switch over to utilize our appraiser. That is a possibility.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any other questions or comments? And the only thing out of finance is to the certificate election. And I'm not sure if that's Jennifer, the mayor combination.
Councilman Reckland, that was at the request of Councilmember Graham Reinhardt to be added to the discussion.
Okay.
Hold on a
Can't help
second. I asked it to be added to the session just for discussion. I have had some agencies reach out to me with a request around the fee that we have discussed and approved by the council for the birth certificates, and maybe exploring a fee waiver for people who have difficulty coming up with that money. The clerk's office has done their best to work with individuals, but for example, most recently, a woman came in. She lives at one of the domestic violence centers, and she didn't have the funds to get a birth certificate and things like that, or have any proof of identification. So for people who have difficulty paying the fee, I'm just wondering if it's possible for us to maybe revisit that conversation at some point in time. For people, I don't know how they would demonstrate that they can't afford it, but for people who are either homeless or dealing with other issues, it may be a problem to pay those fees.
You'll have to look into the legality of whether you can do that, because basically that's a gift. And we have to be very careful about when we're waiting. And I understand the point. This is certainly a group of people, but I think we have to look at other avenues for how to pay that. And it might be working through some nonprofit entities or even one of the foundations. But I have a hard time that when we start doing things, waiving fees for certain individuals, it looks like gifting or preferential treatment. And we could possibly be sued on the matter from other people who feel that I also am financially in need and I can't afford to pay it and I need this. So I think you really have to look at legal counsel to see whether or not this is viable under the municipal law. There's a lot of different rules as far as not when fees are assessed and waiving them. And I know we've run into that with other entities over waiving park fees and other things. So we're going to have to be very careful about how we handle that. There may be another avenue that we really need to look at and work with other groups.
I would agree, Marie. I know just a few years back when we revised all the park ramp fees, the issue was gifting. And it was picked up by the auditors and in other areas. So maybe such a thing, Tamu, is like she said, looking at maybe one of the foundations or one of, some agency who me could donate, feed program for a woman who needs it or something like that instead of the city handling that.
Okay, I'll do that. I know the organization that reached out, they do have a fund that they have been using that for, but for whatever reason, that fund is getting low, but I will go back to them and see if they can apply for some sort of grant or something like that. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
If you could share that information when you find out where that, I think one thing I've stressed in my involvement in the private nonprofit relations is sometimes word isn't really out there as much as it could be for people to contribute to those.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
So if we could get that information and even share it even on the city website in the clerk section, something where people might be willing to help.
Yeah, I'll work on something, Kim, and maybe send it to council for their review.
Okay.
So people just know where to go. Thanks. That's a good idea.
Let me know if you need something from me, Tamu.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
That's it for us.
Okay. That's it for finance. Was there anything from housing, Marie?
Unless the development director has anything, we do have a meeting planned for the housing committee on May 19th. And will be the council member Brackman, council member Sheldon, and I will be meeting along with development director Crystal Surdick. So until then, I don't really have anything unless she does. And she's muted, so if you're saying anything, Crystal.
No, thank you, Councilwoman Kurba. I don't have anything to add at this point.
Councilmember Kruba.
And I will let you know after our May 19th meeting, but we plan to get together. I think we're planning some of what we're continuing on as, unfortunately, with the loss of Council Member James, we're kind of starting up again and trying to get our program and outlines for the rest of the year. So bear with us, we're working on it.
Good, thank you. All right. Now we'll move on to public safety and Councilman Sheldon.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have an ordinance amending the Jamestown City Code, Chapter 160, entitled Garbage, Rubbish, and Refuse. This is because the ordinances must be changed in accordance with the BPU's new assigned garbage container program. Basically, the definition is assigned garbage containers. Each residential unit will be assigned a specially designed wheeled container for garbage. The numbered container remains with the assigned residence. The container is the property of the BPU and remains at the residence to which it is assigned. And basically, it just goes through the code and adds that language or reference to these assigned containers. Any questions on that?
I would assume that would be similar to the recyclable bin.
Correct. And there is an RFID chip in each one of these containers as well. So
Same.
we have a windy day and they get blown down the street. We can figure out where they go. But the BPU also said that people can write their address on these new containers with a permanent ink marker, and that'll help in situations like that.
That might be something to encourage people to do, right?
Yeah.
Especially in the bad weather and winter months and so forth, if they get blown around or moved around, so. Okay.
Exactly. All right, now we have a series of special event applications here under informational. The first one is a special event application for the Dick Barton documentary, May 23rd. And it's going to be held at the, I believe, the Comedy Center. But Mr. Barton is not a comedian. He is a race car driver. Just read something here from the Sports Hall of Fame. In his career that spanned 42 years, he set standards that may never be equal. He's recorded 228 feature wins at 13 different tracks over 30 years. So he is in the Chautauqua County Sports Hall of Fame, which is on 3rd Street, and they are the sponsor of this event. All right.
I believe they're going to show clips on the screens, right?
Right, the two screens on the entrance of the Comedy Center. All right, and looks like everything has been taken care of here. Any questions on that? Okay, the next one is a special event application for the.
I'm
Oh, I'm
sorry, we will just need a motion and a vote for each of the special events,
Oh, okay.
please. Sorry, it wasn't noted on the agenda this time.
All right, I thought maybe. All right, can I have a motion from the member of the Public Safety Committee to approve that application?
So moved.
Give me a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Okay, the second one is the Jamestown Public Market, which will be held on Saturdays from June 12th through October 29th. There is going to be a new location for this. It is going to be on West 3rd Street between North Main and Cherry Street. All the businesses on that street have signed off on it or approved of this? Yeah, it's always a successful one. Yes, Mr. Mayor?
There are some folks on here to speak to these special event applications. I believe Linnea Carlson's on the Zoom call as well, if you wanted to speak to any of those with questions.
I'm here, so if anyone has questions.
Leah, I know that you adjusted it a little bit to move to Third Street. I've just kind of heard a little bit about some of the changes to the market, I believe, but could you just bring us all up to speed, or for those who might be listening, what might be different from the market in the past?
Yeah, definitely. So we're really excited for the opportunity to move to Third Street, primarily because the market's just continued to grow year after year. Last year was our most successful year on record, and we just have had numerous vendors who are interested in coming into downtown Jamestown to offer their products at the market. And we simply don't have the space on Cherry Street. And so with the map that we attached with our special event permit, you can see that we're going to be having 2 rows of tents down the middle of Third Street. And that's going to help us expand the number of vendors that we can have. We're also excited to move to Third Street because we've just continued to build our relationships with the surrounding businesses, such as Crown Street, which is a wonderful opportunity for us to be in front of that establishment, as well as the Lucy Museum, and keeping those sidewalks open so that we can really kind of build an event that is open and allows for people to experience not just the market, but downtown. And the other really kind of big evolution is just continuing to broaden the programming that we do. The children's market will be returning this year, the children's activities. Per the state, we're allowed to do that again, as well as allowing there to be space for community organizations to offer their programming and services so that we can just continue to build those relationships. And as far as practicality, it would just be nice to be on flat land because Cherry Street is quite an angle. And it's also much less windy. We had several tents fly away last year and luckily no one was injured. But our vendors did an impromptu kind of science experiment to test the difference in wind from Cherry Street to Third Street. And it's pretty remarkable difference. So that's just more on the practicality end. But we're excited for this year. It's going to be, I think it's going to be our best year yet. So,
how many vendors do you anticipate, or do you really know?
Yeah, it's hard to know exactly, but we're at this point we have 23 vendors for opening day. That includes the Pride vendors. So that's more than we've ever had in one day. And we just keep getting applications. We accept them all year long. But 3 of our vendors from last year bumped up from daily vending, which means they were only there maybe twice or once a month, to seasonal vending because they've been doing so well. They're going to be there every week. And so we just keep growing. So we're excited about it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Linnea? All right, if not, can I get a motion to approve this from the Public Safety Committee?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. The event is approved. Thank you. The next special event application is for the Jamestown Pride Festival, scheduled for Saturday, June 12th. There's a note here that an insurance certificate is pending and it's approved contingent upon receipt and the Corporation Council approval. And I believe we do have somebody representing the group. Anybody has any questions? I think Mr. Andalora is on the line here.
Who do you
Hello,
would,
everybody.
yeah, Oscar. Okay, never mind. You would just
Any
share what you shared with myself and Eddie when you saw us last week.
Yes, of course. Okay, so thank you, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for having us. So Pride has been in a planning course for a long time, and it's scheduled for June 12th, the opening day of the market. And along with that, there's the application here for the winter garden space provided by the JRC. And that is going to be held, that is planned for organizations, community organizations to come out basically and be a part of Pride Fest from 12, some hours between the afternoon. We have it for 12 to 5 somewhere, but that's all pending on what kind of restrictions come about. So that space is specifically for organizations like JCC, JJC, the Jamestown Justice Coalition, Evergreen Healthcare, and Prevention Works, to come out and show their resources and be available to network with people while we experience some other activities at the market.
Thank you.
Any questions?
I
know
just-
last year that they tried to plan this event and it was canceled due to the pandemic. So it's nice to see it's back on the agenda. Mr. Russell, you had a question?
I was just going to ask about how, basically what you brought up, how things have changed as a result of the pandemic with their planning compared to what they have this year and what was planned prior to the pandemic.
Well, the governor just announced that May 19th, everything's open, capacity in theaters and everything else at 100%. They are talking about still keeping 6 feet of social distancing, but the announcement was that as of May 19th, everything will be open in the state. So unless things take a turn for the worse, it looks like we're open for business and resuming activities as we used to.
But even with the opening, there's still a lot of consideration given to the parameters that we had when we were planning this. So there's a lot of space. There's Rudy and Emily have done a really good job in making sure that people are moving consistently. So there has been a lot of work and thought put into keeping people moving, keeping things as open as possible while still getting people excited and having fun during Pride.
Any other questions? All right. If not, can I get a motion to approve the application?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Application is approved. The final special event application we have is the Chautauqua Connections Children's Coalition's Kids Wellness Fair, scheduled for Thursday, July 29th. The insurance certificate is pending. And our approval is contingent upon the receipt of that and the corporation council's approval.
And Councilman Sheldon, if I could just add, Leanne did let me know today that we did receive that insurance certificate and it was approved. So
Oh, good.
their paperwork is 100%.
Thank you. Okay. So this will be held on Lafayette Street between 2nd and 3rd Street in conjunction with the Northwest Ice Arena, which will be available if there's inclement weather that day. Do we have a representative for this event here today?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I have two things, Brent, when we're done, just to kind of announce.
Okay. Any questions on this event? All right, if not, can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second,
So, aye, second.
all in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, thank you. Okay. Now, the last item that we have on our agenda is a discussion on the mobile market and bagging some parking meters near the Prendergast Library. I have an email from the city clerk about this last week, and said I didn't think there would be a problem with it as long as they didn't bag the one handicap parking meter that's closest to the entrance there. But I think Linnea is still online here. Would like to address this, Linnea?
Yeah, so this was something that the Prendergast Library brought to our attention. They did apply to be a site location for the mobile market. They have not officially been approved. We will be announcing site locations on May 9th, but I will say that we're very much leaning towards the library, so they're most likely going to be a site again this year. And so we would park right in front of the library there, and we set up next to the summer feeding tent at the front entrance. And so we have our SUV and then trailer. We would take up no more than like 2 to 3 parking spots, and we would be there for an hour and a half on Wednesdays. We haven't picked an official time, but it would be in tandem with the summer feeding program, which is usually between 11 and 1:30. And it's just helpful to have those parking spots open for us so that there's no issue when we arrive, because we're moving pretty fast on Mobile Market Day, getting everything set up. So.
Would this be on Cherry Street or in the library?
It would be on Cherry Street, so we pull right in front where the front entrances are off of Cherry Street. They have the summer feeding tent to the left of the front door, so it's easiest for us to be parked on Cherry Street so that we can unload our tent and all of the supplies.
I think that's a great location there.
Yeah, it was very successful last year, and we meet a lot of community members, so it's impactful.
Any other questions or discussion on this?
Nope.
Okay. So it's just something that has to go to the DPW and the parking people to put the bags on the meters at this point? Oh, does it need to go through the Public Works Committee then?
I don't believe so. I had talked with Jeff Lehman very briefly about what it took to get bags for the meters or to bag a meter. And he suggested reaching out to you with the idea that the library and the mobile market have kind of partnered together on. So I'm not sure of if we just drop them off to the library and they put them out during their times, or if someone from DPW has to go and do that. I don't know. Do you know, Jeff?
Or they pick them up in your office.
Okay.
As long as they're complying with what we approve, it's fine.
Councilmember Sheldon, we'll follow up to make sure that the library has those available.
Great, thank you. Okay, so that's all we have on the agenda. Councilman Graham Reinhardt does have a couple issues she would like to discuss.
And I haven't had a chance to talk with Regina much, but Juneteenth would be the week after the Pride Parade. It would be coming close to the wire for a special event permit, but we're still going to try to see if we can get it done. I believe we have a meeting this Thursday, correct, Regina?
Yes.
So, we recognize that had Vicky been with us, this would have been taken care of by now, but I hope that you'll give us a little grace when it comes to the special, at least getting everything in for the special event permit. So please be looking for that soon. Secondly, I just want to bring everyone up to speed with the fact that the Public Safety Committee met about 2 weeks ago to begin working on kind of like another phase of the Police Reform and Reinvention Collaborative. We have decided to take applications for 3 community members who wish to be a part of this committee. So that link should be on the website and I believe on the city Facebook page for residents who wish to be community members on that committee. Likewise, we have asked the chief to begin looking into some of the training that has been recommended in the reform and reinvention. I know they've already started with something. Chief, you might want to let everybody know what these started with. And then some implicit bias training and policing will be coming as soon as he's able to solidify some dates. The organization, I believe, that he selected is pretty busy with being booked with working with different municipalities, but I just want to keep people up to speed on the fact that we are very intentional about making sure that this document continues to move along. Do I have any questions? Chief, do you want to talk about what the gentleman, the officers, excuse me, have already been trained in? Some sort of policing?
Sure, thank you. Currently, our entire department is going through principled policing training. We sent away 2 officers to become instructors in that topic, and currently we're almost done with it. Every member of our department will be trained in that, and there's a lot to it, but I can tell you that it basically re-emphasizes respecting people and how to treat people with respect, regardless of race or anything like that. I will attend the training myself this Thursday, so I'm looking forward to it. I've gotten a lot of good feedback from the officers that have attended it so far. So,
thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for public safety at this point? That's all we have.
Thank you. I don't believe there's anything from Public Works. Councilman Nelson, is there anything? Or Jeff?
No, nothing. We met last week, or I met with Jeff and Eddie, Mr. Mayor, on the different streets that we are on the list, I guess, for construction for this summer. And really, after the meeting, we kind of all agreed that the streets are in probably the best condition that I've seen in many years. And I don't know if it's partly maybe due to the weather, but I think in part to the great job that our Department of Public Works has done over the past, 4 or 5 years. So I want to compliment them on that. But it's we've got a long list of, there's always stuff to do, and we got a long list that we take a look at. So, but no, other than that, there's nothing on the agenda for Public Works.
And the list will be coming out shortly, I assume?
I'd have to ask Mr. Mayor or Jeff, any?
Yes. Yeah, I'm going to talk about it in my comments from the mayor, Tony.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I'd just like to add a reminder about the northwest corner storm drain at Norton and Chadwick. That metal bar is all rusted that supports the frame of the concrete on the storm drain. And I haven't seen any markings. I've seen others with markings, but I just want to make sure it doesn't get overlooked.
It's on the list.
Thank you. Just want to be sure.
Okay. There's nothing else, and we will move on to Mayor's remarks. The floor is yours.
Thank you, President Dulce. I have some remarks today to talk about a few things that we need to update you all on. First and foremost, we anticipate that there may be additional resolutions coming in the next week or two. So one of the things that I'd like to propose and have you all think about is for the week of May 17th, if needed, and if the chairs of the respective committees wish to do so, instead of having a work session, because the work session will be planned for the Comedy Center, to offer to have the committees meet to discuss any potential resolutions that may come up between now and when the next work session day will be. So just want to let the chairs of the committees know that is once we will collect all those kind of resolutions together, and as we get into the next week, we will see how many each committee has and offer for those committees to potentially meet in lieu of a work session for the 17th. Any questions on that? Okay.
It's Zoom meeting or in person?
It's we'll let the chair make that decision. The chair of each of those committees and how they would like to meet and when, and we'll provide notice appropriately. Okay. As a second reminder, on May 17th, we will be meeting at the Comedy Center for a tour of the Comedy Center for the City Council. There has been a request, and I was talking to President Dulce about this earlier today, to see if the council would be willing to meet at 6:30 instead of 7 o'clock on May 17th. Just wanted to check with you all to see if that is a potential option.
Fine with me.
That works.
I'm good with that.
Sounds good.
Everybody okay with that?
Yep.
Okay, I guess we'll plan on 6:30 then.
Okay, sounds good. And I will follow up with an email to you all, just outlining the details of that tour. I do want to let folks know that this is essentially even though it's replacing a work session, a retreat for the council members to learn about the Comedy Center and some of the items that are there. The media and the public will be noticed and will be allowed. The governor's executive order for the stopping of public to come to meetings is only extended until May 16th at this point. So we'll see if that continues to get extended. I'm thinking it probably won't, since that's around the time that the governor is now announcing he's going to open everything back up. So I just wanted to make you all aware. We will invite the media to that, and the public are welcome to come. However, this is a retreat for the city council members. The other things, just some good news. I want to give everyone some information on different grants and other items that we've been pursuing and going forward. First and foremost, you'd mentioned, and Councilmember Nelson had talked about the summer road work. We are getting ready to announce the summer road work shortly. However, we have found that there are additional pools of money that have opened up for the city, which has made Jeff's team very excited, but also have to find a lot of extra other projects in the budget range that we need. In particular, just to go through the numbers of what we normally get, our CHIPS funding is up 23% at 1.1 million. Our extreme winter recovery is up 53% at 212,000. Our PAVE New York funding is up 304,000. That's up 49%. And we have a new category of funding that we have yet to get additional information on how it can be used. We have something called the State Touring Routes Fund. The city of Jamestown has been allocated by the state budget $561,000 to support state touring routes. The city only currently has, and Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong, two. It's 4th and 5th Street. Is that right?
4th, 5th, block of Prendergast, and North Main coming in from the city line right down to 5th Street.
So we are working on some projects there. One of the things that I do want to let the council know, something new that we are doing this year that we haven't in the past, and will be something that we will ask you for as well, is in our discussions, we've tried to determine if we can utilize a labor cost as a reimbursable cost under these programs. And in our discussions with the Department of Transportation in New York, we have found that we can utilize a labor cost reimbursement, especially under these new funding categories. That means that we should have and will ask the council to allocate funding for summer labor assistance, summer labor help, approximately 7 positions to work 12 weeks. It'll cost about $40,000, which will be reimbursable under this new streets funding that the state has now allocated. Jeff, is there anything else you want to add on that?
No, I think you covered it pretty well. A lot of money this year, and we're just trying to figure out how we can spend it wisely and timely.
How about the Lakeview Cemetery retaining wall on Main Street?
That would be not CHIPS fundable. Maybe under the 30 million. Keep that in your hat,
Right.
Council President.
So any questions on that? Otherwise, we'll be releasing probably later this week or the early next week, the summer road projects.
Thank you.
Okay. I'll also note that we'll be meeting with Jeff's team later this week to talk about additional ability and capacity to put in bike lanes or shareable bike lanes as we start to reconstruct roads throughout the city. So be on the lookout for that. We have more and more bikers in the city, especially during this pandemic, and we want to make sure that our roads are adequately signed for those individuals. The other item that I have just as an announcement, many of you probably have heard and are all invited, May 6th at 2 p.m. we will have the groundbreaking of the new skate park down by the Riverwalk across from McCray Point. We're very excited about that, and we hope to see you all there if you're able to make it for the groundbreaking. Some other good news, just other information in terms of grants. I am excited to announce through the support of Senators Gillibrand and Schumer that the city will have access to an additional fund to support affordable home ownership and homelessness in the city. Under the American Rescue Plan, the city will be entitled to $1.227 million for our Home Investment Partnership program that does currently exist through HUD funding and managed through the Department of Development. That additional funding can be spent within 7 to 8 years, and it usually includes activities that result in building, buying, and rehabilitation of affordable housing for rent or individual home ownership, or to provide direct assistance to low-income families. We'll normally partner with other not-for-profits to assist in this process, but very excited about that amount, very excited for the work that we can continue to do for both low income access to housing, affordable home housing and home ownership, as well as to address issues of homelessness in the city of Jamestown. Pretty staggering number.
I had a question on that real quick.
Sure.
Would that include repairs for people that already own their homes that are low income?
I will ask our Department of Development, Crystal Surtick, to talk about the program as it stands currently.
Sure. I think the easy answer to that, Jeff, is we don't know yet. We don't really have any more guidance. We were notified we're getting $1.2+ million, and we will just kind of wait and see what we're able to do with that. I do think that the intent is for there to be a significant portion of that to be used for rental assistance to aid in the prevention of homelessness. So that's what I know right now, but we'll certainly keep everyone apprised as we find out the details.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Thank you, Crystal. The other exciting news I'd like to announce is through the work of Dan Stone and his team and the Parks Department, along with Jeff. The city of Jamestown has been awarded a grant for a tree inventory and management plan in the amount of $31,500. So congratulations to the Parks Department and the awarding of the state grant for an updated tree inventory and management plan.
Congratulations.
And then a couple other items, and then I'm done. Number one, the bill for speed zone school speed zone cameras has been introduced in Assembly. We are awaiting introduction in the Senate. I did send a copy of the bill around to the members of council. Just wanted to address a few things. First and foremost, the bill would provide a 3-year authorization for the city to maintain 9 school zones under a school zone speed camera system. Ticketing would only occur during active school days, 1 hour before and 1 hour after, or days where there are school events. All tickets would be reviewed by the police department before being issued. There would be a process to adjudicate the liability if the registered owner is not driving. And I will note that the bill allows the council to set by local law the speed limit that a person goes over from the posted speed limit to receive a ticket. This is simply an authorizing bill. Doesn't mean we have to go through with the program. That would then be done by local law once we're authorized through the state assembly, Senate, and then signed by the governor. But I mention that because we will need to pass a resolution confirming those bill numbers similar to one that we've already passed. But we've worked diligently with Andy Goodell and George Borrello and their teams to create the first Republican-sponsored bill for school speed zone cameras, one in which Mr. Goodell and I had talked about will be most likely a model for other cities across New York State. So we're really excited about that. Working hand in hand to try to do something that is really going to rein in on some of the concerns that we have seen in other areas such as Buffalo and other cities, and to ensure that it has the intended effect, which is to slow down people speeding on school days at school hours in school zones. Okay.
Eddie, just out of curiosity, does the school district or any of its admins, are they apprised of this? Did they weigh in on any of those conversations that you had with Assemblyman and Senator?
We've provided the bill updates to the superintendent throughout the process. We also had the original conversation once you all had approved the agreement for the school speed zone cameras. We actually talked to the school district about that way back when. They actually understood that and appreciated it, only because the cameras can also be used to pick up areas where the school does not currently have cameras and do experience, for example, fights by students and things like that. So to their benefit, they will have the ability to utilize some of that footage as requested to get areas that the school district cameras just don't cover currently.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Okie doke. One last update and then I'm done. And surprisingly, I have no executive session items tonight. So you might have a quick meeting. We are going to be rolling out shortly some additional employee training. As you all know, every year we're required to undergo sexual harassment training as a municipality and as a workplace. In addition, we also have a workplace violence training that all employees will take. And we have added this year a diversity, inclusion, and equity training, which is a basic one for all employees in certain departments that have the training funds can go out and get additional training, in-person training for diversity, inclusion, and equity. But every employee will get some form and version of that going into this year. So that was my least sexy topic to talk about. I am done. I do not have any additional executive session items. And with that, I thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Just to kind of go over the schedule for the rest of the month. As you know, next week we are off. There's no meeting. There are 5 Mondays in May. So we were off next week. We'll meet again, as the mayor said, we'll meet at 6:30 on the 17th at the Comedy Center. And if there is a need for additional committee meetings between now and our voting session, then the individual committee chairs will be notified and they can determine where, when, and how they want to meet, and then we'll make the appropriate notifications for that. And then on the 24th would be our voting session, because the 31st is the holiday, it's a Memorial Day. Because of the relaxing of the requirements and restrictions, I would like to meet for the 24th in person. Right now, we could plan on doing the third floor Department of Development office that has been cleared out. It's a very large room. That would all depend. I don't know if we would be able to have any public by that point. I don't know, you kind of hinted that they may or may not extend that. If there's no public, we could meet there. If there is public, then we would probably have to move down back to the chambers again, I would assume. Okay, but we still have about 2-3 weeks to worry about that. So obviously we will monitor if things seem to be moving in a better direction and restrictions are being kind of loosened a little bit. We'll still be under some restrictions, and as we get closer, we'll keep in touch with that as to where and how we will meet for our voting session. So again, no meeting next week. 17th at the Comedy Center, and the 24th will be the voting session somewhere in City Hall. So is there any other questions or comments?
Yes, President Doltz, I was remiss in not mentioning last week, thanking all the volunteers who showed up for the hands-on Jamestown event. It was organized by Gina Paratus from the Land Bank, as well as Development Director Crystal Surdick. I believe there were 90 volunteers or close to 90 volunteers who cleaned up the area between 6th and 11th Street, between Main and Washington. It was very well done. It started out very cold, but it warmed up as the day went on. A lot of debris was picked up, and the DPW was available to pick up the bags of garbage and all of that. They were very, very helpful. I can't thank the city crews enough. Dan Stone was out there as usual, always leading everybody with a lot of energy, and dove right in to get everything done. So it made a big difference in the neighborhood. My office is in that area, and you drive down 10th Street and around the neighborhood, and it looks much, much better. So I really wanted to thank everyone who came out. There are events, if you missed that one, we still could use plenty of volunteers. There's an event every month between now and October, and it was a lot of fun. There was a lot of camaraderie, and it was an enjoyable day. So you can get out there, but I really appreciate everyone who did come out to try to help everybody in the neighborhood. And a lot of the people on the streets came out of their homes. They were very appreciative. There was a woman in a walker who was working with someone from the Zion Covenant Church, and she did what she could do. She helped, and she walked along with another volunteer. So the neighbors took notice and were very welcoming and very appreciative of everything that happened. So thank you to everybody.
Thank you. And Crystal, just for the record, for the public, when is the next meeting, the next cleanup?
Next one is on May 22nd, 8 to noon.
And that's the downtown area
Yep,
again.
that's the downtown. So we'll meet at Tracy Plaza as in the past with the downtown event that's traditionally held.
Right. Very good. Just wanted for the public to know. I know we have that ourselves. We have the schedule, but for the public, and then that will also, I'm sure, will be put out and posted as we get closer to that date. So
absolutely.
Right. Thank you. If there's no other business, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Councilwoman Karuba.
By Councilwoman Kruba. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, everybody. Good night. Have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you.